Boker Tov, Shavua Tov. We are now continuing throughout the progression. We spoke at length about the Halachot of Pesach. Today we'll pivot. We have a few days left. We'll pivot to the Leil Haseder. Obviously, we know, and we said it before, the Rambam explains and clarifies for us many mitzvot that pertain, a few mitzvot rather, but pertain to the night of the Seder. We know the most primary is the Sipur Yetziat Mitzrayim. And it differs from regular Zechirat Yetziat Mitzrayim because it's a Sipur, it needs to be said in a story. Some Achronim say it's a question-answer form. Others explain that it's part of the journey where we describe from the Genut to the Shevach, and we praise Hashem for that. But whatever the exact definition is, we know that there's a very simple mitzvah on the night of the Seder to teach the next generation about our rich history, beginning primarily and actually focusing mainly on Yetziat Mitzrayim. There's a paragraph in the Hagadah, however, that takes a little bit of a zooms in. Instead of pivoting, and it speaks and primarily about Yetziat Mitzrayim, it also speaks about in every generation, Mechol Dor Vador, every generation, our enemies try to murder us and slaughter us and kill us because we're Jewish. And Hashem, He Himself is the one that saved us from their hands. Why do I highlight that? Because as Baruch Hashem, part of the Mashadi community in Great Neck, it would be a disservice if we don't mention what today is. Today is Yud Bet Nisan. 187 years ago, there was a pogrom called, it's referenced now as Dadi, in the city of Mashadi. Today, Yud Bet Nisan, a few days before Pesach, 187 years ago. And we have a minute and a half left, so we're not going to go into the whole history of it. But some accounts say 32, some say 36. Different Jews in the city of Mashadi were murdered, and the rest were faced with the decision: you convert or you die. And the leaders of the time advised and taught and convinced the entire Jewish community, or most of the Jewish community, to live as underground Jews. And for many years to come, the Muslim neighbors around them thought that they were Muslim, but they kept their Jewish identity indoors, underground. For example, they would buy bread on Pesach and feed it to the dogs so the neighbors wouldn't know. They would make their matzah in the basement. They would blow shofar in the basement. There are even some minagim that stem from that period in history. But the idea is that even this idea in the Haggadah, that in every generation they tried to kill us and Hashem saved us, applies to our community. Unfortunately, applies to all the Jews around the world, even more recently with the Holocaust, even more recently with October 7th, and in the current war right now as well. So it's something that we have to, not only, obviously the mitzvah is Yetziat Mitzrayim, and we need to teach our children and remind them and educate them in the 10 plagues and the mitzvot and the miracle of the Exodus and the splitting of the sea. But we should also highlight personal miracles, meaning if our generation, more recent generation, that Hashem is an active participant in our lives, in our day-to-day lives, and Hashem, that way we can have the proper Hakarat Tov and gratitude to Hashem for all His miracles and be deserving of more of them. Shavua Tov and Chazak U'Baruch.